sun is numb, the Keurig's clean, your dog is dead, it's a Ponzi screen. Ponzi screen, because it's just something to do. We are gonna crush this lady. We are gonna crush this lady.
Don't fucking gender the podcast, David.
Oh no.
I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you fucking gendering the podcast.
I am
during this trying time.
I'm quoting the eBay story, guys. I want to jump right into it. Because it's so good. It is so good. The former CEOs of eBay basically got into the scare campaign about this like journalist who was trying to. Sorry, how are you guys? What's going on? Sorry, how are you guys?
What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm fine. I'm totally good. I'm very curious what you're about to say, but all I have to say is the only thing I know about the former CEO of eBay is that I believe she's a lady. I can't remember her name. Am I right about that?
Devin Wenig.
No, maybe it's the founder. Maybe all I know is that either the founder or the CEO of eBay is like a fucking dipshit, like a real piece of shit lady from the 90s who didn't capitulate to Amazon. This is just from previous research I've done on Amazon because they like butted heads big time in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Gabe, how you doing?
I've never bought anything off eBay. I don't know about eBay, but I'll tell you what. I'm curious now. What?
I bought my
You got
Zoom
that
off
Zoom?
eBay.
Your Zoom is an eBay product.
Yep.
Yeah, Gabe, you've never bought anything off of eBay?
Absolutely not.
Why?
What?
I walk on the streets. I like to go to brick and mortars. I'm a brick and mortar boy.
Look, nobody's the people we love. We all love a brick and mortar, but sometimes you need that very specific, like, nut or bolt that's a size that only China sells or whatever. You've never needed a specialty item or something like that?
Never. I reach out on Facebook to friends.
Gabe, have you ever needed anything special in your life?
Yeah.
I could use a tres leches from Bahia, the Salvadorian restaurant in Williamsburg, within my delivery radius.
I'll tell you what, I just bid for one of those for $1.50 on eBay. So
that's the thing. I never understood the bidding wars that you guys go through. There's not a set price, and you pay for something. You could get outbid.
Yeah, you gotta go. Well, sometimes you can.
Bidding, well, it's not. That's the thing. eBay isn't even about that now. It's all about the buy it now button. Like, they're as much of a just regular store as much as they were an auctioning website. You can just like buy it now. Regular things. The things where there's auctions are like a fucking weird antique sewing machine or like a fucking poster for Grateful Dead from 1967.
Or like
those are auctions.
Castle Grayskull from He-Man, just the front part of it to put on my wall.
What I want is like Sky Mall products from 2004. And that's why I go on eBay, is to get like a dog staircase that's shaped like a garden gnome. Like,
I want a wine tree made out of rebar that looks like a French sort of bistro chef.
Yeah. I want
with
that
a curly mustache.
Yeah, I want that. I want a focaccia maker that only makes focaccia.
Dude, that's not an eBay. That's fucking garage sale $1 right there. Like, that's something you're either paying $100 for or $1.
So what's going on with eBay right now? Why are we talking about this company that you two seem to love and are trying to get me to buy into?
Look, I don't like it that much, man.
It's great.
It's great. I bought like 3 things on it total, but like, I did it. I don't know. I'm not some Puritan about it. So basically what happened was CEO. So basically there was this story that was published, I think last year, August 1st, called? Don't no, it wasn't. I don't know. eBay RICO lawsuit meant to curb seller exodus to Amazon, and the indictment quotes from the story. Executive One has been unable to stop a decline in market sales, but trying to dissuade sellers from turning to Amazon and trying to get Amazon to stop recruiting sellers may not be the best tactic. That's the article. So it's like kind of a diss against eBay, but how severe is that really? Like it's just kind of stating the facts and kind of offering a mild prescription of like, hey, don't be so harsh. And eBay responded beautifully, just gorgeously. There was there were email communications, and they tried to basically threaten this woman who wrote this article. And what they said in the email that the prosecutors found was they said, "We are going to crush this lady," an employee described. For writing this article, it's like, okay, Amazon and eBay are struggling. Like that was like, we're going to crush her. And to one of the executives who is the former CEO, Wenig. And some of the things that they did are so cool. I love it. The alleged harassment sent pornographic magazines to the victim's neighbors in packages that implicated the newsletter that they were involved, that she wrote this thing in. In meeting, let's see. So in one meeting, the FBI said he showed a photo of what he called a Samoan gang and claimed he would send the gang to the publisher's home if the harassment didn't silence the newsletter.
I like that you put Samoan gang in quotations. Like, what? Where did he even get this photo? It just sounds like maybe he got a CD cover from the Booyah Tribe, like old 90s old 90s hip hop reference.
Let me that deep pull.
He just got like a picture of The Rock from the most recent Jumanji film, and he's like, "This is a Samoan gang."
Wait, okay. Just so I can wrap my head around this a little bit, because I was looking at a couple other things before this. eBay. Okay, a lady writes something about eBay that's also about Amazon.
Right.
So it's kind of about them both. Amazon just says whatever, this person's writing about it, and eBay threatens a smear campaign, a full-on smear campaign
to take this
of this
down.
one shirt.
It wasn't even a smear campaign.
Yeah.
It was like they are going to like scare the shit out
Threatening.
of her. And like they tried to go into her home in Boston, in the Boston suburbs, to put a GPS device on their car, but it was locked in the garage, so they couldn't get away with it. Yeah, they tried to, and then they monitored local police radio communications during the attempt. It's cool shit. This is boss shit. This is what we need in the white collar crime sector. We need it's cool.
I like that. I like the idea that maybe headhunters for corporations, as part of their covert ops departments, go and they recruit high school pranksters. You gotta get the pranksters young and bring them on board. Like, in Catch Me If You Can, they got that guy who was bouncing all the checks. The FBI hired him.
Frank Abagnale.
They hire him to catch the other crooks. You get these pranksters.
Franksters.
This is, honestly, this just sounds like eBay just picked up somebody from the CIA. Like they left the CIA and were picked up by eBay, and then
these
got
are like
hella nefarious.
The people were like private security guards, I think, that worked for eBay. But this is the best part. They allegedly sent live cockroaches and a funeral wreath to the Massachusetts couple that published the newsletter.
Oh my God.
They also sent them a bloody pig Halloween mask and a book on surviving the death of a spouse.
I'm sorry, These are all nightmares that somebody has. They have a guy on their payroll with a nightmare journal, and every day he wakes up from his terrors in a cold sweat and writes down what happened in his dream. And they're like, "Thank you, Johnson." And they take that and use it to send funeral wreaths with cockroaches in them to people on holidays.
Yeah, dude, that's like some
terrifying.
Psychological warfare. Yeah,
it's so
absolutely insane. Wait. So eBay itself, they're definitely going to try to pin this on like some fucking psycho that they hired, right? Like they as a company, are they going to are they taking entire liability, or is it are they just going to be like, no, John, the mail clerk got a little too big for his britches one day and started going psycho on people. Are they immediately trying to like push it off?
Yeah, they absolutely tried to put it on 2 security executives. And 4 other, let's see. Yeah, there's this guy named James Baugh and David Harville. And I mean the CEO denied all knowledge of the situation, but you know that they knew. You have like if you're someone writes an article that's like, I mean, I'm being very generous here and saying that it's insulting to your company and you want to fight back, like you're not just going to have the rogue security guards leading the attack. You're going to talk to the CEO. Only a CEO is petty enough to do something like this.
That's right.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I was mentioning it earlier. This is like this is eBay's modus operandi, because them and Amazon are the 2 big online sellers. And when I say it's them and Amazon, I mean it's mostly Amazon.
Yeah.
So anytime eBay gets threatened, they're just getting into prison. Like they got to fucking knock out the biggest dude in the room first, just to show that they're not a little punk baby, you know. Like Amazon, they can take losses. They've done that for years and years and years, where they just do not make a profit, but just take over market share. But eBay, they're part of the pie. It's getting smaller and smaller. So anytime somebody threatens them, they have to cut their throat. They have to cut their throat out with a wreath and cockroaches. Apparently,
the number 2 is the dirtiest. Because they're fighting to be number 1. The number 1 can afford to be generous. The number 1 can afford.
Yes.
You know, the number 1 can afford to not deliver live cockroaches to someone's house.
Number 2's hungry, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is leaving bodies in the vacants.
The first loser,
dude.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane, and I would love to see how that develops over the next couple of weeks.
It made my day. It's the funniest. It's just good. It's just good, clean fun. This is a funny quote. The U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, Andrew Lelling, said at a news conference, "We have not seen something like this before."
He's just, I'm a little bit confused, guys. Is this a crime novel? What's going on?
It just, it sounds like Burn After Reading a little bit, right? Like some of the characters.
Dude, that's like the official movie of this fucking podcast. You love Burn After Reading.
I do.
And I have to tell you, it is my least favorite Coen Brothers movie.
Really? Because you see yourself in Brad Pitt and he gets killed?
No, it's too stressful.
Oh.
It's fucking, I hate that shit. After Hours, Burn After Reading, that shit is but not like uncut, or what is it?
Uncut Gems. Yeah, I was gonna say Uncut Gems.
I love that.
Yeah, why
that's not stressful to me.
What?
Because it's fun, dude.
Wow.
That's not. I get it, but like, dude, Burn After Reading, that shit was too stressful. I don't know. Maybe it's just the main actor in it. What's his name? Who's bald? John Malkovich.
Oh yeah,
that guy has he has real stress vibes.
It sounds like you hate a comedy of errors, because that's what Burn After Reading feels like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
yeah.
So I think you're just wired to really enjoy very tense dramas and to sweat bullets when you're watching comedies.
Dude, I mean, I love a couple things. I love somebody falling on a skateboard. I love somebody falling down a set of stairs in a funny way. That's cool to me. I love that shit. I like the Jackass movies. I don't know what this says about me.
Is that the only comedy that you like?
Nothing subtle.
No,
a lot of gross
comedies.
motor skills.
Yeah. A lot of painting a mountain around your butt and then shitting out of it.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Were you a Looney Tunes fan? Did you like did you like the Roadrunner and stuff?
Actually, I hated the Roadrunner. I liked the Wile E. Coyote, because he tried so hard, but he never got the Roadrunner.
Respect. He was such an unappreciated protagonist.
He is an existential hero, kind of like Camus' Sisyphus.
Yeah.
Pushing that boulder up the hill, and he's never going to catch that Roadrunner. Yet it's in striving to do it that we find our humanity.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the journey.
That's so true.
Yes.
I feel like I find my most humanity when I've like ran like 30 feet off of a cliff and I'm still in midair, and I don't really notice my lack of humanity until I look down and realize that I've been floating on nothing the whole time. And that ended up being accidentally very deep, guys. And
I think you just described late stage capitalism.
And that, folks, is how the Federal Reserve works. All right.
Yes.
Well, here we are. Well, what else is on the docket today? We've talked about fun with eBay.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I know that you guys have been doing some reading.
Well, it's true. I was reading The End of Policing by Alex Vitelli. And I know, and Danny, we were talking a little bit earlier, but he got this pamphlet, right?
Yes.
Which is
it's not even a pamphlet. It's a book. It's a real book.
Wow, fancy.
Lovely. It's a lovely. How would you say? It partners well with The End of Policing. Also by Verso, it is Police, a Field Guide, and it's a wonderful book on some of the I don't know, it gets into specifics, but it's very much built like an index, where instead of the chapters being like, we're talking about one subject each, it's like you could see the table of contents. It just goes on little topics, dedicates like 3 pages to each of them, and just talks about it. And it very much is like a field guide,
What's cool is like I threw out a term and you hopped on it right away. I threw out asset forfeiture. And
yes,
civil asset forfeiture, baby.
Yeah, civil asset forfeiture, which I think would just be like a good, when we think about the cops and how corrupt they are, let's just think about that as a concept. And Danny, the field guide gives us that just by throwing that word out or that term. You were able to find it right away, right?
Yes, I was able to find it, and it actually this book is actually very interesting, because when I thought of civil asset forfeiture, the first thing that I thought of was actually Los Angeles and like the large homeless population and that is there, and that very often when the LAPD comes in and sort of like raids homeless camps, what they'll do is they'll kick everybody out, and then they'll take all their shit and just throw it in a dumpster.
Which is also a crime, because you're not supposed to take people's private property and destroy it. They're supposed to hold it for them.
Right.
Yeah. And when I thought of civil asset forfeiture, that's what I thought. This book goes into some very, very interesting concepts where they basically liken asset forfeiture back to the eugenics movement.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's a leap I wasn't considering.
Whoa.
It is, dude. It's crazy. Actually, I mean,
for me personally, as someone who identifies with the eugenics movement, it was an easy leap because everything is an easy leap because it's my defining ethos. Anyways, Danny, what were you saying?
Dude, check this out. It makes this leap, which is great. It says, there is, however, a longer history and deeper logic at work, and one that reveals the constitutive role of policing in the fabrication of racialized and proprietary order. Throughout the early 20th century, the broad acceptance of eugenics in the United States influenced the way rights, including the right to own property, being regulated by the state. And they basically go on to say from there that, like, people think, eugenics was just sort of like crackpot pseudoscience. But what it really gets into is that when you have a system that used to believe in eugenics, which inherently believes that some people are just worse than others, what happens is that whole system gets translated into the criminal justice system, where it's like, this is an undesired class, therefore anything they have, anything they've had or owned, doesn't matter. You can just, very much like the sort of wrong definition that I gave before, where I thought of a homeless person getting their stuff taken away. It's like, it doesn't matter what constitutes this person or whatever they have, just they are undesirable, ergo it doesn't matter. Anything associated with them is like tainted. It's very interesting.
What it reminds me of, or at least the way you're describing it, is like the forced sterilizations that happened a bunch in the early 20th century of black women, and of all sorts of poor folks and the mentally ill. It's still legal, I think, in certain countries.
And Puerto Rican women as well.
Really?
Yes. So
in Puerto Rico, or
in Puerto Rico, and I assume also in New York State, but I have to look that up before I say anything more reckless.
Yeah. It's you got this. There's some great stuff here too. The common practice of asset forfeiture suggests that eugenics remains a guiding logic of police power and a potent source of legal order in the U.S. criminal system. Consider that in the United States, nearly 1 in every 2,000 people is sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole, and black people constitute nearly 60% of all sentenced to life in jail. That number reaches greater than 70% in federal prisons. And again, it's following a eugenics logic, where it's just sort of like, look, we all know that we've all heard the statistics like the one I just said, where it's just like, if you are preventing a person from ever leaving this very limited prison state, you deny them the right to to have family, to exist in the future in some way. And it's crazy. It's really it goes way beyond just taking somebody's stuff. It's taking their livelihood, their future,
Well, this goes in New York State. We're all in New York right now, and a lot of people like to think of the North as a very progressive place, but in New Amsterdam, with the founding of New Amsterdam with the Dutch, they brought 30 enslaved people over with them to help clear the land. And then when the British took over in 1665, when they took over and created New York City, they started reinstating laws, or rather instating laws that did not allow the African peoples, mulattoes, or Indians, Native Americans, to pass down wealth. So up to that point, the Dutch had at least let enslaved peoples buy their freedom or handle money and have possessions. And after that, it was the British that kind of dictated that only a certain racial group of people, British whites, could actually own property.
Yes. Does anyone else feel like the Dutch, like, why are the Dutch cool? Like, have you guys ever thought about this?
They're only cool by degree. They're only cool.
I mean, but, of course.
Or by
it's not like
or by
racist Santa Claus
comparison.
or whatever. But like, why are they kind of cool? I don't get it.
In Star Wars, they would be Jabba, just because the British are such the empire.
Dude, that's the. I can't even remember the context in which I was reading this, but that's the crazy thing about the role and exchange of like power and wealth in capitalism is that it jumps from like society to society to society, and at one point in time, the Dutch were popping, baby. The Dutch, they had it all,
like,
you know?
The Dutch were cool, but like all of their neighbors were like absolute like war criminals. Like Belgium, probably like you could make real arguments that they were the most genocidal maniacs that ever walked the earth in the Congo. Just horrible monsters. And they're 30 miles from Holland. What the fuck? I don't know. It's just confusing. I don't like, what is so weird? What is so horrible about Brussels and Antwerp that it makes them take out their aggression in such an evil way compared to Amsterdam?
You know what? The bicycle was exploded in popularity, and around the time that the Belgium were in the Congo, and the Congo was full of rubber trees. And it was the popularity of bicycles and bicycle tires that created the demand for rubber.
You're cracking my whole theory open. Oh, it's so based in science and belief.
But it's really just our appetites for delights.
The real genocidal maniac is our need for speed.
Yeah. So all of my bike cult people out there.
Well, also
me.
Also, Indonesia's got a lot of rubber, doesn't it? And Indonesia was a Dutch colony.
No, the Dutch.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the Dutch were low key genocidal everywhere. They just don't have a bad rep in North America because they had to compete with the French in Haiti, the Spanish in the Caribbean in Mexico, and all of Latin America, the Portuguese in Brazil, and the British up here in North America.
The British?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, power just shifts like that, and it's only been since the 1940s that the United States has really been the dominating force in it. But we forget, it's just like, yeah, dude, Portugal, they were the shit back in the day. They had their fingers in all the pies.
And Brazil was so bumping that the royalty from Portugal at one point just decided to move their residence to Brazil.
Oh, that's cool.
God.
Yeah. When your summer house is better than your winter house, and you're like, I guess I'll just make this my permanent. It's like Trump moving to Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You know?
Yes.
He's like, well, I guess this is now the White House, is now Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's God. Don't worry, David. Don't worry. I'll take special care to look into how evil the Dutch were. Remember, they had the East Indian Trading Company, they invented that shit. So they are no saints.
But how does forfeit what is it? Sorry, it's
asset forfeiture.
Yeah, civil asset forfeiture. How does that play out today? Like, I watch all these cop shows, and I'll watch there'll be a cop and he's driving around in a Ferrari. And everyone's like, "Whoa, are you rich?" And he's like, "Oh, this is a asset. We took it off a drug dealer. I'm just using it to be undercover." So like police departments steal people's cool property and then use it.
Yeah. It's literally it's sort of an exaggeration, but literally that. That's what a big way asset forfeiture works now. I mean, in the way they describe it in the book, it's that, police agencies seize assets generated in the course of criminal activity, which can be anything from drugs to just straight up cash, cars. They can take houses, any kind of contraband.
PlayStations, drones, Cuisinarts.
Anything off of Sky Mall.
Yeah, a wine tree.
Yeah,
and
a little elf
and
that
the
also
real
pours wine.
and it's like you could make the argument. Well, it's just like, well, come on, that person is doing something evil, so they deserve to have their stuff taken. And then you consider this sentence, which says, Police also seize and acquire via policing confiscated money and seized property is almost always used to expand police or to hire more cops. So if there was a fucking drug kingpin that has a Ferrari, the Ferrari doesn't go back to the state. We all don't get one day with the Ferrari to drive it around Manhattan. The police just take it and they either auction it off, or if you're the LAPD, they keep it and they put police badge shit on it. And I mean, it's literally like the equivalent of being a real-time RPG, where it's like if you, instead of like in a video game when you like punch somebody and they drop like a potion and like some coins.
Oh yeah.
That's what the police do, And
I think we constantly talk on this show about how the incentives based on certain policies, we incentivize graft and corruption. And the incentive now is for cops to shake people down and look for targets that have soft targets that have a lot of property or money. The incentive is like, well, let's go after this guy and try to find the crime, because then we can get all of this stuff to put in our piggy bank.
Yeah, and like I'm talking more specifically in like, or like the references that we're kind of generally using are a little bit more extravagant, like a big drug dealer or like a crime boss or whatever. But the examples of things that are much smaller, stuff that doesn't get on the radar on news and stuff, is equally as applicable in this way. Because if you're a person who, maybe you have like, 1 or 2 tickets on your driver's license and you're driving a little too fast and cop pulls you over for going 80 in a 60, and for whatever reason, you just have money in your glove compartment.
Why do you have money?
So you just have
Danny. Why do you have money?
Why do you got that money there?
Why do you
got that money there?
Why do you have $21 bills in your glove compartment, Danny?
Yeah, dude.
It's like maybe I'm trying to make it rain at a strip club. Like it's very possible.
Okay,
but you could be trying to go. You could be like, I'm going to my favorite strip joint to make it rain, and I have $1,000 in $1 bills. You get pulled over, the car could get impounded, and then that $1,000, you better hope that they just don't look in there, or that you don't get sent to jail on bail for any kind of like driving charges. Because if they find that $1,000, that's not your $1,000 anymore. They just take it.
You'd think that someone would have filed like Fifth Amendment charge against this. The eminent domain one. I mean, eminent domain is usually about real property like land, not chattel property, which is movable physical objects. Which I assume is what is mostly. I assume the cops aren't like stealing your house and like taking over your home, like your farm in a. I mean, maybe they're actually. I don't know. Like
sometimes they do. Sometimes they do if it's on a large enough scale. Yes.
What? So they'll literally like the cops are seizing someone's farm, or like someone's like suburban property or urban property.
Yeah, because if you can attribute it all to a criminal enterprise, it doesn't matter if you had legitimate streams of income. All of it falls under that you were a drug lord.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, it gets into a weird little gray zone there, where, we're just sort of like, wait, does this person deserve this large proportion of property? And it's just like, maybe no, they don't, but I don't think the cop should be in charge of it and should get the money from auctioning it off. I mean, we've all heard of police auctions. I mean, like, where do you think the money goes for police auctions? And I'm willing to be wrong in this if it does in fact go to the state. But if I would be amazed if a portion of that did not go straight back to the cops.
But how much are police looking at other things that are happening out there? How much of the police institutional resources go towards, let's say, solving rapes, or looking at rape kits, or going after any other crimes, I guess, that police are supposed to solve or stop, when really the low-hanging fruit and the thing that is going to make them the most profit is going after people to extract wealth from them.
Very much so. Very much so. It's extremely capitalistic in that they're trying to squeeze as much worth out of one single resource.
So I just saw this case that was in the Supreme Court. So last year, actually, the Supreme Court limited or put some limits on the abilities of states and localities to do civil asset forfeiture. There's this case of this guy named Tyson Timms who pleaded guilty to selling $225 of heroin in Indiana, sentenced to 1 year of house arrest and 5 years of probation, and had to pay $1,200 in fees and fines. But also, state officials seized Mr. Timms' $42,000 Land Rover, which he had bought with the proceeds of his father's life insurance policy. They said that he had used it to commit crimes.
Oh, okay. This is some fucking like cheat on your taxes bullshit going on here, where you're like, oh yeah, I bought these shoes specifically to walk to do comedy in, ergo it's a comedy expense. Like, shut the fuck up. All right, I'm going to concede that Range Rover probably pushed a little bit of age, but give me a fucking break. That's stupid as shit.
Right. So actually, the Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, said that basically it bars excessive fines under the 8th Amendment. So under that argument, they said that the civil asset forfeiture was too much, and they had to give the car back.
Nice.
Dude, do you know how fucked up you have to be to convince Clarence Thomas to not be evil? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, right?
Well, so I think we've done a really good job of sort of highlighting how perverse and what a funhouse mirror distortion of justice the civil asset forfeiture concept, what that does to like justice in this country. What about
it's fucked up?
What about is it the 1033 program?
Well, I know the 1033 program, which Elsa actually enlightened us to a couple weeks ago. It basically allows the military to sell surplus directly to the cops. But what that translates into is it's not like they're just like, oh boy, we get more flashlights or whatever.
oh yay, we get to eat. We get some military grade rations we can eat in our cruisers while we're on stakeouts.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if they were like, we get like really like colloquial British police helmets and batons. These were used in the Iraq War.
Yeah. It's what it really translates into is the police getting basically military grade weaponry and like their the choice picks amongst basically like weapons of destruction and weapons of war. One thing actually I wanted to bring up specifically to this, which is a little bit related to the 1033 program, but it can also just related to police having sort of a panopticon over everything is police helicopters. This is really very, very interesting. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, more than 200 police departments in the United States engage in aerial law enforcement.
Sick. Skywolves.
Sick.
Dude, that's kind of like what they call them. It's like, it's crazy. Like they,
you got to watch OJ's white Bronco getting off on the highway somehow.
Dude, David, you've already got it. It's the LAPD. The LAPD has the most helicopters out of all others. They have 19 helicopters.
Hell yeah, pigs and whirly gigs.
Yeah, it's it's the LA County Sheriff's Aero Bureau. And the skies above LA, I mean, it's very much a part of like crime dramas where it's just like there'll always be a helicopter in the distance or directly above whenever there's a crime show set in Los Angeles. It's basically And this basically came about in '66, way even before the 1033 program in Lakewood, California, as something called Project Sky Night.
Okay, great.
And that's
great.
That's KNIGHT. And it basically proposed that, like, yeah, no, I know. It's so it's so good because they took it from like the Knights of England, where they vow to protect the weak, where they protect the weak. Basically, it sort of serves as like a monitoring program, so that even if a cop helicopter isn't close to you, the sort of psychological wear and tear of one being relatively close by is always kind of glaring down on you. Another thing they actually reference in this book is the 1990s movie Boys in the Hood.
Oh my god,
which is a great movie. If you've never watched it before, I would recommend just stop the podcast right now and watch Boys in the Hood.
Love the movie. Doughboy, played by Ice Cube. Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, well, this has been Ponzi Scream. I have to go watch this movie. You guys have a good night.
But you're right, man.
Yeah.
Danny, if you watch any of those 90s South Central like gang movies, they always have one scene with a helicopter flying overhead.
This is quoted. It says, air power serves the same purpose whether in Kosovo, Iraq, or South Central Los Angeles. Whether we're talking about a military no-fly zone in Iraq after the first Gulf War, or a no-fly zone above Ferguson, Missouri after the police killing of Michael Brown. It is the ever-present threat of punishment, military bombs falling on Iraqi villages, or police searchlights landing on Compton streets, a U.S. military drone killing a dozen people in a wedding party in Yemen, or Philadelphia police dropping bombs from helicopters on Black Move activists in 1985, killing 11 people, including 5 children. Whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the beast. This is a really great book. I really can't I can't recommend it enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but, I always like to bring it back to the graft, David. And, like, we've already, the graft is that we didn't need these military programs to fight wars abroad anyway, most of the time. And then after the hardware is not used abroad, then they just recycle it, and we start using these tools of oppression for our empire on our own people.
Yeah. What I think is cool is just how much fascism has just been about a discretionary budget. Like,
yeah,
just like the implementation of just a horrible regime is just basically like all comes down to like the fact that we just have like really, really banal and like milquetoast budget battles, and no one really questions anything. It's like, oh well, that is actually the thing that's allowing for carpet bombing to happen or whatever. Just
sure. It's like we've got these non-playable characters that are the cops, and then we have a loot crate for them, and then we're like, well, let's just soup up these avatars with like body armor and like whatever bigger guns because we've got the money to do it.
Sick.
Yeah, it's very much a situation that, we've been talking about like police powers in this episode so far, and the reason, at least in my view, is that for the first time in a long time, budgets for police departments across the United States are being questioned. And it's only when you look at this critically that you realize that what? We've been doing this for so long? This is what? They have how many billions or how many millions of dollars to work from? And then B, how much they fucking show their ass. The second you try to take any little bit away from them, they just pout. They're just like, no, I need all $6 billion so I can constantly monitor black people. And it was really quite telling that once you actually have the facts and then watch the responses, that anything short of taking away large swaths of the police's money is vastly unfair to the rest of the public,
Right. I mean, it's all like, going back to like the military industrial complex and warning about that. in Eisenhower's farewell speech. And I mean, really, he was talking about like a really specific thing, which was the inflated budgets of local police departments to be able to have the technology to, in a chase scene in a hallway with a lot of doors, with the Benny Hill soundtrack is playing, they can go in and out of different doors without going in a room. I mean, that is sophisticated technology, and Eisenhower warned us about that.
What I found interesting is like we've defunded schools, right? And in the way where school budgets shrink, in the police have somehow, with their expanded budgets, been able to insert themselves into these schools by having police school partnerships. So in New York City, for example, there are 5,000 police officers who are in the schools every day. And and some of them are taking on the role of being the guidance counselors, or as well as being the paramilitary units that police the whole building. But they're taking on these roles.
So why do you have all this anxiety? Tell me about this anxiety. Where is it stemming from? No, I will not put my gun away.
Then they're also being trained on the weekends. Their professional developments are ex-military guys who have budgets as consultants to give trainings to the police. And these ex-military guys then tell the police, all right, you're a warrior. I know you're in schools, but remember that at any moment, there could be another school shooter in this building. Your school, your site could be the next Columbine, and you are going to have to treat this elementary school and all the little second graders in it as enemy combatants in a war zone. You're going to have to kill the village to save the village.
Yeah, and then combine that with the fact that, like, again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I've said it on multiple episodes of the podcast before. Most of the police are very bad at being the police. These are not expert marksmen. These are not actual warriors. They, like, much like most of the NYPD, they are lazy dipshits who could not be bothered to fill out a single form. And yet you're entrusting this, like, the safety of children, middle schoolers, and or whatever to some guy who is truly half of the time either fucking crazy and aggressive or just in it for the pension.
I like the idea.
Like,
I like the idea of, like, there's this one, like, lead detective who's, like, writing out, like, an anagram, and he's, like, writing out, like, why did this hamburger give me diarrhea? And he's like, and he sees that it's Shake Shack, and he's like, wait, is the Shake Shack my colon? Is that what that stands for? Shake Shack is my diarrhea? Is that what it'll do? My body is a shack? And that's how smart. I mean, they're smart. It's important, Danny.
Yeah, they never cease to amaze me when it comes to that shit.
I like that they're poisoned.
Yeah. So cops in schools, and part of they were able to fill this vacuum, this demand, to provide what social workers should be providing, or some other security force. And when we look at, there's 5,000 of them in New York schools. There's also only 200 or 2,500 therapists and support staff in schools for over 1 million students in New York City. And of those 1 million students, 100,000 of them are currently homeless.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a matter of the reallocation of resources in even just a small way. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned how the 2017 to 2008 police misconduct budget, essentially, or the amount that the NYPD paid out between 2017 and 2018 was about $300 million, just a little bit less than that.
They're violate your civil rights petty cash drawer.
Yeah. It's 300 million, which on its own is a fucking huge number. But then in the side picture, it's a bar graph of all the other, services that get provided in New York City. And you got the cops, you've got, like, social work stuff, parks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just so funny to see the cop budget being way higher than like every other bar.
Candles.
Even more than sanitation, which has like a big budget as well. Then
rightfully
it's funny to have. Yes. Dude, they need pay them. But then to have that $300 million be in the corner and see that it is actually higher than some of the budgets of other New York City programs. Just the amount that the NYPD pays out in various lawsuits covers a social program that we all desperately need more of. That we could really use the money on.
I love that. How much is it? 300 million?
300 million
in their My Bad fund.
Yeah, for the fiduciary year of 2017-2018, it was 300 million. In various years, it kind of fluxes. It could be like anywhere as low as like 60 million, anywhere as high as 300 million. Watch the year of 2020 to 2021 or 2019 to 2020, because that year, AK year, all the protest year, like everything that's happened in the last month, that's going to be a fucking ginormous number. We are going to see huge spikes in just the amount of police brutality charges and misconduct charges, all because they killed George Floyd and people were pissed about it, and then they crack skulls.
Yeah, I think it's important for everybody to read Alex Vitale's End of Policing along with the book that you brought up, Danny, because it really goes through all of the ways that we waste our money and resources on police as they now exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we got rid of the war on drugs, and it's called Police: A Field Guide by Verso Books.
A Field Guide.
Yeah. Right now it's like we waste our money on these policies, the war on drugs, the war on sex workers. Both of those are places for graft and corruption, and for police to just create fear in all of us. We're all exploited by the fact that they have that they are in charge of regulating our sex practices and regulating what chemicals we put in our bodies.
Yeah. Everybody's afraid of make work jobs, but what if you're the biggest what if the biggest make work job in every single city was one that like every once in a while somebody fucking died because it was incredibly violent. Like
this make work job
cares?
We're just going to harass you for going 7 miles over the speed limit and maybe kill you.
Right.
Dude, fuck that. I got the best make work job that's happened this summer. That's right, your boy. He's going to be a census enumerator
in the
month of August. I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to be saying, how old are you? How many kids do you have? Are you a fucking illegal immigrant? No, I will not be asking that question.
This sounds like stuff that Danny asks people at bars anyways. So this is you've been doing this for a long time.
Are you Hispanic or non-white? Tell me right now. I'm getting paid $28 an hour to do this.
Yeah, I've already checked Hispanic on this box, but now tell me what, because once you do that, there's another, it branches out into like all of the other subsections. And you're like,
This is Danny Feltz's crowd work at his stand-up.
Dude, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna be like, what? You got a fucking flag with 1 star in it? Hispanic? Like,
I want to just add. I want to add to the census. Are you guys fucking? Are you guys fucking? Who's fucking here?
So you guys,
who's drinking tonight? Who's drinking tonight?
I know you're just supposed to check a box, but it's really a question. The question is, so what's your guys' situation?
Seriously though, pray for me. It'll be very fun. I gave my fingerprints today. I really hope that doesn't. Look, I don't have any warrants. I'm like a very clean guy, but I still it's very nerve-wracking giving my fingerprints.
Is the pay gonna be good? Is it okay?
It's $28 an hour.
What?
It's tight. Yeah.
Damn.
Which is how much, dude. That's how much the NYPD start you at is $28 an hour. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God.
I'm the police. I'm the actual police. These fucking losers walking around with a gun and handcuffs. And meanwhile, I get a lovely badge to show that I am not a scammer, because apparently that is a real issue. People are getting scammed.
Danny, I want you to go up to a cop one day and just say it like that, in that tone. I'm the police.
I'm the police. You're not the police.
Yeah. Like,
you can S my D. Yes.
That's cool. That's cool. Should we all become census workers? I would love that. Sounds.
No, it's only for me, David. I'm sure you could.
If I had an N95 mask, I'd love to just walk around looking like Bane, knocking on doors with my face protected, asking people to give me their information.
So it says here you were born in the darkness? Very cool, very cool.
How long have you been living in Gotham?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got it. I think this is something that is going to be an evolving conversation for us over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, protests are still happening. Things have died down a little bit, but police continue to kill black people. It's happened in Atlanta, and it's happening various other places.
We need to keep going. We need to keep going for like two reasons that I can think of. Is one, we're actually making progress, and it's working. And two, as soon as we let our guard down, they're just going to start they've already started lynching people, but like all the Ferguson activists, like some of the lead Ferguson activists got killed like in the years right after the Ferguson uprising stuff happened, and we have to keep going because this is a physical show of force.
And we also can't let politicians who are in the pockets of police unions off the hook. And even in the Democratic Party, we have a lot of politicians that have tough on crime rhetoric, or are former prosecutors, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Kamala Harris,
and we have
Amy Klobuchar.
And Amy Klobuchar, and so we have to keep people focused on this and hold them accountable and make sure that they, even if they aren't still in power, change their ways.
You guys want to hear a piece of information that I have no idea what to do with, and you guys won't know what to do with it either. Joe Biden's first job out of law school was as a public defender.
What?
He was a public defender before he ran for Senate.
Wow.
Was he really bad at it? He's like, no.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that so random? I don't know. I don't know how to circle that square.
He's like, look, Jack, here's the deal. That's where he got that phrase. Here's the deal. You're going to take the plea. Yeah. You're going to take the plea. All right, we're going to plea you down. My numbers were great. I would get 15 plea deals an hour.
He's like, all right. Now listen, popcorn. You're going to take the death penalty. You're going to do the death penalty because it's a short death now is better than a life in prison. So just get it over with. Let's go.
All right, Jack.
I just went through a stop sign. All right, he's taking 30 years, Jack. All right.
Yeah. Look, we can come to a compromise.
I'm not even supposed to be in court. I'm literally the bailiff. All right, he's showing a little bit of force. Better throw the damn book at him. All right. All right. Well, I think we've done what we can here. We'll be back. We'll get into this more. Thank you everybody for listening. I'm Danny.
I'm Gabe.
I'm David. Good night. Good night.
Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Buenas noches.